half of the team is in the Hall of Fame.
Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw.
Bradshaw rolling to the right. Thereafter, he throws on the move into the end zone and is caught for a touchdown.
Never could take my mind off of playing. I'll let you watch the championship game, but I'm going to have to spank you. Or I won't spank you, and you just stay in this room, and the game's over, then you can come out. Well, that's a no-brainer there. I'm taking the spanking. My dad's like, that's my boy. I got through praying that night. I went to bed, and I got up. And the next morning when I went to practice, I was a different person. I want God to make an example out of me. I'm not afraid and not ashamed to say that I love Jesus. A person's lot in life is not to waste his life a lot. I'm leaving this podcast feeling so rejuvenated. I'm looking at my friend there. You look great, buddy. Head full of gray hair. You got a goatee. You look like you just want to reach up and slap the shit out of me right now. That's what it looks like.
First of all, this is my voice. I'm Tim Green, and I have ALS. But this podcast isn't about ALS. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for me. I'm a father of 5, married for over 35 years, a New York Times best-selling author, an NFL first-round pick, and a practicing attorney. This is Nothing Left Unsaid, where my son Troy and I sit down with extraordinary people for raw, honest conversations about life, its toughest trials, and greatest triumphs. My voice in today's episode is powered by 11 Labs. Today's guest is the original TB12. He took a city on his shoulders and made Steeltown believe. Terry Bradshaw is the quarterback who called his own plays, stared down 4 quarters and dynasties, and walked off with 4 Lombardis. Then he did it again, this time on Sundays in America's living rooms, turning analysis into storytelling, pain into laughter, and private battles into public hope. We're going to talk about leadership, the cost of greatness, faith, and the craft of telling the truth, whether that be on a field, on a stage, or a set. Terry, thank you for the joy, the grit, and the permission to be human. I feel lucky to have worked with you and to be able to call you a friend, even though we don't talk as much now. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me on, man. I've been looking forward to this. We were actually in Hawaii. We had a 4-day week. We had the whole week off, which we haven't had all year. So I told my wife, let's go to our house. We have a little small house here, and so we got on a plane Monday morning, and we were here at the house at 11:30 in the morning. So I'm actually in Hawaii. So you're in New York. I assume you're in New
Yeah.
York. And so New York to Hawaii, and it just amazes me is how fast that sound can travel, isn't it? Just pretty cool. Thanks for having me on, Tim.
Terry, I don't know if you'll remember this, but we first met at a Playboy All-American event at a Tiki Hut bar on Miami Beach. You were as kind then as you are now, bought me a couple of Heinekens and sat with me like we'd known each other forever. You've always had that gift.
Well, you bring back a moment. My gosh, how many years ago is that? Man, that's got to be 30 something years ago. And totally forgotten about that. But now, yeah, um, a Heineken. Yeah, I bought you a Heineken. I don't think I was drinking though. I don't. I don't. I'm pretty sure I didn't have a Heineken because I don't like Heineken. So, yeah, Jimmy Johnson likes Heineken Light. I don't. But yeah, that's that's going back a ways, brother.
Well, I had enough Heinekens for the two of us anyways. All right, Terry, tell us about your childhood. What was family life like growing up in Shreveport?
I I grew up in a middle class family, hardworking family. Father was a welder. Mother was a housewife. Um, we walked to school, which wasn't that far, maybe 4 blocks. And I didn't like wearing shoes when I was a little boy, and I'd have to leave the house with shoes on my feet. But there were um, pipes along the way to school, and I'd stop and take my shoes and socks off and stick them in the pipes so nobody would steal them. And I'd go to school barefooted. It's just I don't know what it. I just like the I like the feel of the grass or the dirt under my feet. But It was simple. Grew up a Baptist kid, going to church Wednesdays and Sundays. Family centered. Grandparents were in a little town, Hall Summit, Louisiana. Tim, my grandfather was a watermelon farmer and a cotton farmer. He had 40 acres, so he had 20 acres of each. He plowed with two Clydesdales named Tony and Shorty. I used to sit on their back while he plowed. And a lot of times I'd fall asleep and he'd have to stop and get me off so he didn't plow me up, plow me under. And then sometimes I'd take a Miss Tucker lard can and follow the plow, and he'd pull up worms and grub worms, and I'd get them, put them in a bucket, and my grandfather would take me fishing. So growing up in Shreveport was great. Growing up on the farm was greater. And I think that influence of my father, grandfather being a farmer, and all of my grandmother's side of the family were all farmers, cotton farmers. And that's the life that I grew up in. That's the life I love. And I think that's one of the reasons, Tim, that I own a ranch. I've always owned a ranch or a farm, call it what you want. Always have been in the cattle business. I'm in the Angus cattle. I'll show the American quarter horse. I've been doing quarter horses for 45 years now, standing stallions, training, and last year I bought my first thoroughbred. I hadn't bought a thoroughbred in a long time. The last thoroughbred I owned, we ran in the Kentucky Derby with him. His name was Greydar, and we got ninth. So that's kind of cool. But growing up with simple, um, I mean, real simple. Just kids playing when we had that tight neighborhood. The houses were about 12 feet apart, and all the kids playing down the street, and the fog guy come along in the summertime for the mosquitoes, and the white and the fog would just totally blanket everything. You couldn't see him. We'd run out there and get in the middle of it, not realizing probably why some of us have so many mental problems today sucking up that stuff. But just simple, playing in the creeks, raising guppies. Never was a hunter. Always loved to fish, though. And always loved to sing. So I sang in church, and I still sing today. So it was just a good, solid, highly disciplined young family. We were highly disciplined, and that's carried over throughout my adult life. So I'm very much appreciative of my family and how much I love them, and but it was nothing fancy. It was a simple childhood, I think.
Terry, who was the disciplinarian, your mom or your dad?
My mom. My mom was brutal. My mom was the one that carried the she carried the board, and the belt, and yeah, yeah, for sure. My mom scared to death of my mom. Now, my dad very seldom ever whooped. We deserved it. We were. I don't know, Tim. If you did, you ever grow up with your parents telling your mom said, "You just wait till your daddy gets home. You wait till your daddy gets home," and that was like, oh no, not my daddy. Not dad, because that's going to be bad. But I don't even recall being spanked by my father. Shoot, twice maybe. But my mother, almost dang every day, I did something that just made her so mad. Um, yeah. So my mother was a disciplinarian, scared to death of my father, powerful man. One of the funny stories, I can tell you this quick story. So I'm living in Iowa. My dad goes up there we're welding on LPG tanks. He's in charge of LPG tanks. The tanks you see on the farm with all the butane in them, the gas that you cook with. And so we're up there. My dad started this church on the Mississippi River, which was cool. And Saturday, one Saturday, I asked my mother, I had to go get a haircut in Comanche, Iowa. And I said, hey, Mom, um, uh, Jimmy, Jimmy's got a pool table. On the way back from getting him the haircut, can I stop and shoot pool with Jimmy? And she said, no, you come straight home. And I said, but Mom, he's got come straight home, young man. So I go get the haircut. And on the way home, what do, Tim? I stop and shoot pool with Jimmy. because that's what you're supposed to do. So I'm shooting pool with Jimmy. Nobody knows. Nobody at the family knows they're coming home from the haircut that I stopped shot pool. Sunday morning, my brother and I would always get up and we would cook breakfast for my mom and dad. We liked doing that. We'd boil them rotten toast, eggs, bacon, the whole. We could do that as little kids. We knew how to do all that stuff. So we're sitting at the breakfast table and we're eating and we're getting ready to go to church and so on and so forth. And I said, I told my brother, Gary, you're not going to believe, man, but Jimmy's got one heck of a pool table. We're there, we're shooting pool. I'm actually not bad at it. And then I went, did I just tell everybody that said shot pool? And my mother says, I thought I told you to come straight home. Mom, I went right by his house. I'm sorry, but I mean, I just shot it. I couldn't help it. I'm so sorry. And she says, you just wait. We get home from church. I'll deal with you. And I'm like, well, there goes the day, right? There goes the day you're shot. Because why? You're a kid and you're going to get your butt spanked when you get home from church. Now, you think when you're going to church, you'd be praying a lot. Not praying a lot. What was I, 11, 10 or 11? Just please, God, please don't let her remember this. I'm sorry. Maybe she'll forgive me. So now I'm being sweet. I'm doing everything. Everything you're supposed to. Oh, I'll get that Washington. Oh, I'll do. You're just doing everything perfect to be a good little boy, and so she won't spank me because I don't want to get spanked. And that day was the football championship between the Bears and the Packers or Giants, and so my dad knew how much I love football, and so we're having lunch. Nothing is said. Mother cooked dinner. Nothing is said about my spanking. And then she says, I've talked to your dad. Your dad's going to deal with you. And I went, that's not good. That's not good. Because that's going to be that's going to, because my dad's a big man. This is going to hurt bad. And so my dad says, when you get through, son, just go get in your bedroom. Go and shut the door. I'll be in a minute. Oh, you don't want to hear that. That's terrible. So I get through. I'm a nervous wreck. So I'll go in there. My dad said, son, I'm going to give you an option. I'll let you watch the championship game, but I'm going to have to spank you. Or I won't spank you and you just stay in this room and the game's over, then you can come out. Well, that's a no-brainer there. I'm taking the spanking. I'm gonna be, my dad's like, that's my boy. I mean, spank me, beat me. I don't care what you do, but I'm watching that game. And my dad was so proud of me. He says, look, your mother says not to do something, don't do it. Okay. I said, yes, sir. He said, now I'm gonna hit this, I'm gonna get my belt off and I'm gonna spank this bed and you holler. All right. I'll spank you holler. And I went, is he serious? I mean, we're setting this up. Are you kidding? My dad's going to play this game with me. I said, okay, okay. Boom. I won't do it again, Dad. Boom. Sorry, Dad. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. So then he said, just stay in here for about 5 minutes and then come out. That's okay. Dad puts his belt and he walks out. There's the TV on. I waited about 5 minutes and I acted like I'd been beat. I think that was, I think, Tim, that one day. It's when my dad really realized, how much he loved me because I manned up. I took the beating.
Did your mom ever
Oh
find
my
out?
God. No, no, not to my knowledge. No one ever found out. I'll tell you one thing too. I never went by and shot pool again. That was out. Yeah, but that's a good moment. That's a good moment. I should have Tim write my book. I want to do a book and have Tim write it and I tell so many. I got so many good stories. You
Yeah,
know.
you should.
And Tim's a great writer. Yeah, great writer.
He just had a book come out, Terry. It took him 3 years because he writes it with his eyes now. It took 3 years to write.
Yeah, it's what was the name of it? It's like a football
Yeah,
book,
the one
wasn't
that
it?
just came out was
Shot.
called Rocket Arm.
Yeah. What is that? Like a quarterback, I assume,
Yeah.
or baseball?
Yeah, like
What?
it's
Yeah.
kind of like an allegory mixed with a football story. It's like a
Wow.
yeah.
It's out now.
Yeah, it just came out about a week and a half ago.
Wow. How many books? He's got to
That
have
was
what?
40, 42 or
50?
41.
42 books. Are you kidding me? Hey Tim, you ever tried writing music? I mean, if you can write a novel, those are novels. If you can write a novel, you can write music. I think anybody that can write, that is such a gift, such a blessing. But if you can also write music, put the music with the lyrics and make it work, I mean, that's fascinating to me. I remember my wife during the pandemic said to me, she said, I'm in my office doing something, and she's in the kitchen, and I can see her. She goes, I'm going quarantine crazy. I went, that's a song. So I said, that's a song. So I got my pencil out and I started writing Quarantine Crazy. And so I wrote the outline for the song, something I've never done. I wrote the outline for the song. And then I said, okay, how would this start? Here's how it'll start. Da, 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 da. And I picked up the phone to call a buddy of mine in Nashville, a sure enough songwriter. I said, here, I got this song. Now, here's the song, Quarantine Crazy. And it's going to start off, how my wife and my kids are driving me crazy and da 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 da. Da. And I said, here's the front, here's the middle, and the next day, I get this voicemail, it starts out. I told my wife to be patient with me. I'd slow it down in time, just wait and you'll see. To be with you in these bundles of joy. My wish came true, but it wasn't by choice. All this time with them has sure been a blessing. Just hanging out together 24/7. It's been a week now, and I must admit it. But this cabin fever's bout to reach its limit. Going quarantine crazy. And I thought, oh my God, he did that night.
One day, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Now, is that not? I mean, it's like your dad, man. It's like, what a talent. I mean, what a talent to be able to write, and I've always been impressed with that. But that's something Tim's always writing. I mean, he's always writing books ever since I've known him. Ever since he was one of my kind of pick. I don't know Tim. I don't know what it was about you, but I just kind of just picked you out of my broadcasting bunch, and this is a guy I liked. This is a good. Guess that not only are you a good man, but talented man, talented. And I just always had a connection for some reason, which is nice. Yeah, there he is again. All that gray hair, man. Where'd you get that gray hair? At least you got hair. I've lost mine. I tried to grow this, but now he's got a goatee. Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, I don't know where these gray hairs came from, brother, and I always felt the connection we have too. I really appreciated you looking out for me. Terry, growing up, were your siblings athletic too, or were you the one everyone was chasing in the yard?
My older brother was not a athlete. Um, his name is Gary Tim, and he was the brains of the family. He was a real, a smart guy. And sure enough, he has his own business, very successful, just retired. He's making more money when retired than he ever made. Then my younger brother was athletic. He went to Utah State on a football scholarship and got drafted by Houston in the fifth round and was in the league for 4 years. They ended up in New Orleans, and then now he's a insurance guy. I mean, a realtor in Dallas. So it would have been him. Now, I have three girls, and Erin, the youngest, is a horseman. Okay, she shows horses. She's won like 19 world titles riding horses, which is amazing. Rachel, the oldest, is songwriter, and so she got the music side of it because all my family once again on my grandmother's side, they played the guitar and sang in church, and my aunt Cedric, my one of my uncles, made guitars, but beautiful singer. All of them were beautiful singers. Rachel ended up becoming a songwriter in Nashville. She went to Belmont, Nashville, and then she became a singer. She traveled, and then she didn't like being on the road, and so eventually she's now married and has a little boy named Casey. And then my stepdaughter, which I call my daughter, Lacey, she's the athlete. She's 6 feet, 6'1", and went to Missouri State, Southwest Missouri State. Anyway, she went on a basketball and a volleyball scholarship. She's the she of the family. I mean, she's the athlete. So, my wife is smart. She's a radiologist, and I'm just a PE guy. Just plain and simple guy. Nothing fancy here.
Where do you think your size and that arm came from? Your dad, your mom, or something divine?
All my brothers, all of us are big. Um, I went into the NFL 6'3" and 5'8". I've shrunk quite a bit now. I'm probably 6'1" and a half now. My brother Gary's 6'1". My younger brother's 6'4". So all good sized men, and it came from my mother's side. My mother was 5'10". My dad was 6'1", and my mother's family. Her father's English. He's an Englishman, and he was 6'4", tall, skinny guy. And my grandmother was 5'1". She was a German lady. So you would say, okay, got the, you know, got it from my grandfather. And athletic talent is kind of hard. If you ask me that, Tim, I don't know where that came from. Probably, once again, my mother, who was very athletic, very competitive, and my dad not doesn't have didn't have an athletic bone in his body. I can honestly tell you, Tim, I don't ever recall ever throwing the football with my father. Not one time. I don't. I barely can remember if ever we played catch with a baseball. Um, so how I became a quarterback in the NFL is big as big big a shock to me as it is to you or anybody else. I mean, you were you were a linebacker. What'd you play at? You weren't that big when you played. What, you 230, 235 maybe?
I think his
I
biggest
mean,
he ever got to was like 250. And I think it might have been.
250. Tim, you got to
I
250?
think that was a
I
generous.
can't see you
I think it was
generous.
a
Was
generous.
that one of those? Oh, and what? 6'2", 250,
Yeah,
6'2"?
6'2", 6'3", 250. But he has
Yeah,
this.
that's one of
He
the
has this.
put it in. Yeah, I got no. I know how it is. Quarter. Yeah, I remember in high school, 6'3", 191. 6'3", and I wasn't 191. I was 5'11". So yeah, it looks good. Tim Green, Syracuse, first round pick, Atlanta, Georgia, 6'3", 252. That looks good. And then when you run into Tim, you go, I just don't see that 252.
He had this great story, Terry, where he was eating like 6 meals a day and all this stuff. And I think for his
oh,
pro day, he weighed in at 250, and then he got like the
oh
flu.
my God.
He got really sick, threw up, and got the flu for like 3 or 4 days, and then weighed in at like, yeah, I think like 240 or.
Hey man, I got a friend of mine during Vietnam. I got drafted. My brother got drafted. And then before we could go to boot camp or whatever it is, it was over. So we didn't go to Vietnam. But I got a friend of mine. He played at Southern Cal, Tim. You remember Jerry Mullins? I don't know. You may or may not. Six 6'4", maybe 6'3", 235. And he got drafted, and he was trying to figure out, how can I get out of going to Vietnam? So he started eating malts, just drinking malts, eating bananas, just pouring malts and bananas and just hamburgers. He just eat. The minute he'd finish, he would rest, and then he'd drink another chocolate malt and bananas and burgers. And he put on like 30. So he goes to the draft, to the physical, and he's sweating. He's sitting in line, his sweat's pouring all down. This man, he's about to have a heart attack, and the guy comes in there, take him in, and they do his blood pressure with up through the roof. And they said, "Hey, buddy, we can't take you to Vietnam. But I'll tell you what you better do. You better go to a doctor and get this blood pressure under control." And you said, "You're about to blow up." Oh my God. To hear him tell that story, man, is just breaks me up. Can you imagine weighing 238 and then weighing 270? In like 2 months? Oh God. Funny story, man. I can just see him standing there and just sweat. Just oh shoot. That's funny.
That's a classic. Can you tell us about the Spalding glove? I've heard that story has a little bit of magic in it.
Oh, my beating. You're talking about my beating, huh, Tim? The one, yeah. So didn't have a real good baseball glove, and my next door neighbor's name was Mr. Robinson, and he was a coach for another team, and he was our next door neighbor, and I couldn't find my glove or didn't have a glove. I don't know, but I remember asking him, could I borrow his glove for my baseball game, and he said, "Yeah, just bring it back to me." Um, when you're through. I said, okay, not a problem. So and that meant a Spalding glove. I mean, it's a serious glove. Now, I mean, this thing is sweet. So I get on my bicycle and drive into Cedar Grove where the game was, about 3 hour bike ride. And I'm playing the game and everything. And afterwards, the coach has, he buys us sodas and peanuts or something. And then I get on my bike and I drive back home. Well, I took the glove and put it over the steering wheel, through the wrap on top, put it on steering wheel. And I get back home and I'm like, oh no, where's the glove? Glove's not. I went, oh no. So I turn around without saying anything to anybody and I backtrack all the way back 3 miles looking for that glove. And I mean, then I turned around and came back the other way, exact. And to this day, I have not found that glove. So I get home and I know when Mr. Robinson hollered, "Bill, my dad, Bill, tell Terry I got to go. I got to practice or something, and I need my glove." And my dad says, uh, "Terry, Mr. Robinson needs the glove." And I'm back in the room and I'm just sitting there. I'm going, "Oh man, I don't have that glove." That's all right, all right. And I'm in the closet. I buried myself in the closet. And I'm just sitting there because I know I'm in big trouble. My dad hollers my name again and goes, he says, "Miss Robin, these gloves, son, he's got to go." "All right, Dad, it's in my closet." So I go back in the closet and I'm panicked. I'm panicked because my dad, my dad is going to be furious with me. The glove probably costs what back then? Maybe $20. I don't know, but this is, and so I'm in there. My dad comes in there and I'm digging through the closet and I'm just digging. I'm just killing time because I don't know what lie I got to come up with, but I'm in serious trouble. And my dad comes in there. He knew I didn't have that glove. And he took his belt off and started my dad started whipping me, but what he forgot was he took the belt off and he wrapped the leather end around his hand and he whooped me with the buckle. And I'm like, man, this seriously hurts. I didn't- My mother had to come in. My mother came in and got him off of me. My dad just furious with me. And there I am with all these chunks of meat hanging out of my body, all because I basically lied to my dad. And I missed a week of school scabbing up. But here's the thing for Tim and for all your viewers, I never lied. If there was ever, what was one lesson in life you learned from your parents? Don't lie. Don't lie. That's why I always say, I can't stand a lie. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. Truth is fine. I'm like my girls. I'm not going to spank you. Just tell daddy the truth. I want the truth. Don't lie to me. Even the people that work for me, don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. And it's all based on the fact that I lied to my dad and my dad. my dad obviously did not appreciate me lying to him. He meant to whip me, but not with the buckle of the belt, you know. But that man, I'm telling you, that was yeah, what was I? 9 years old, maybe 8 or 9. Not a good day. Not a good day. Didn't find the glove. Haven't found the glove yet. Dad looks good, man. He's got all his hair. He's not bald back in the back or
Oh,
nothing. Tim,
I don't know.
are you got all that hair, man? Gee. Yeah, my wife said, golly, he's really a good looking man. I said, yeah, he could have been a movie star. Yeah, he had those looks, you know. Obviously, it didn't work. It didn't pass on to Troy,
No,
but
it missed me. Terry, I got a great story for you about this. I showed up at college. I showed up at, I went to UCF to play football down in Orlando. And
yeah.
I'm there and I walk in and there's a woman working at the desk and she says, like, everyone's walking up, you say your name, where you're from, your position, whatever. And she was like checking you in. It was our first, like, our official day. So I'm next up and the woman's like, and she's got a big Southern accent. She's like, what's your name? I'm like, yeah, I'm Troy Green. I play quarterback, skinny Atlas. And she goes like this. She looks up from her glasses. She's an older lady and she goes, you are not as handsome as your daddy. And looks down and
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
"Ma'am, I'm not very smart, but I'm smart enough to know that. So you're okay. You didn't break anything new to
Yeah.
me."
Yeah. I was going to say on the show Sunday that after long, and I may still use it. I'll give it to you now and Tim. But I was going to say on the air before before we get into it, so, hey, Kurt Bentley here with Terry Bradshaw, Michael Strahan, Howie Long, and whoever's up there. And I was going to say, TB, how was your week? And I was going to say, well, it was a tough week for me. I finally had to make a decision on who was going to play me in the Terry Bradshaw story for Disney. And I picked it was between Brad Pitt and Denzel Washington. So I told Kurt I'd pick Denzel because he's my age and Brad's a little younger than me. Oh God. I tickle myself. It seems to me that I'm the only one that thinks I'm funny. And then you just say, oh well, I wish I hadn't even said that now. But yeah, looks, yeah, I don't have it. And Troy, you dang sure don't have it. And and your other brothers, they're pretty ugly too. I saw
Yeah.
them all. They're not.
No,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
skips a generation. Maybe my kids will get it.
It definitely skipped a generation, Terry. I have beautiful grandkids, but all the listeners know how good looking you are. What they might not know is that you had one of the strongest javelin throws in the country. Could you have gone to the Olympics and won gold if football hadn't called?
I don't think I could have won gold because back then the Russians, they were doing things that we weren't quite, like they were doing special medications and stuff. So I don't think I would have done that. But I was the third uh, ranked javelin thrower in America. Um, so I could have gone to the Olympic trials. Um, and there's a part of me that wish I had, but I was going off to college and played quarterback, and there was no future as far as I was concerned. I only threw the javelin to help Woodlawn High School get a point in track meet. Um, I learned how to throw the javelin out of the encyclopedia. Now, people nowadays don't even know what an encyclopedia is, but I absolutely opened up the encyclopedia and read how you throw a javelin. And so, and the steps and all of that, didn't have my coach. He didn't know. I didn't know, but he thought with strong arm, I could throw the javelin a long way, which by the time I got to my senior year in high school, um, I was throwing it, 240. I had several over 270, but it had to pierce the ground, where it had to kick up dirt with the point. And my javelin, I threw it so high that it floated. That's how come it went so far. And it came down like this and landed flat. And they didn't count the throws, which was strange because I threw it that far. guess, cut 4 feet off, and still a long way, man, to throw a javelin for a 17-year-old kid. But Tim, you're right, man. I could have gone to the trials, but I had no love or passion for throwing the javelin, you know.
I'm going to change topics on you. Were you always a committed Christian from the start, or did you ever waver? I ask because I was lost, but now I'm found. I didn't understand my ALS diagnosis at first, but now I think it was a message from God to come back to him.
There was a saying I heard a guy, he's a black singer, gospel singer named Whitley Phipps. Whitley Phipps. And I heard him, he got a bass voice. Nothing more beautiful than beautiful bass singer. And the song, he opened the song up with this saying, it's in the quiet crucible of your personal private suffering that your noblest dreams are born and God's greatest gifts are given to you in compensation for what you've been through. And when I heard that the first time, I thought, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. So it was on a local station in Dallas. And so we called that station to find out if we could get a copy of that clip. And they ended up sending it to me. And I pulled it off, wrote it down, something I don't do. Um, I don't write well enough to read because I just don't. And so I said, I'm going to learn this saying. So if you think about it, it's quite crucial, personal time. So you learn it. So I'm sitting there, Tim, and I'm in the speech. I'm giving this speech, and this is the perfect time to say it's in the quiet crucible of your personal private suffering. But when I started, I couldn't remember any of it. So, so I said, it is in the moment that you have. I just went off. I just made the whole thing. I was so mad because it's such a beautiful saying. I did it 5 times in a row in 5 different speeches, never got it right. And by the sixth time, I finally got it right. Um, and I think as a Christian, the beautiful thing about that is to me, is trials and tribulations. You got to be knocked down to make yourself look up. You have to realize there's more to life than you. This world is not here just for you. I became a Christian as a young man. Um, and someone said to me, well, how do you know you're a Christian? Well, look, I walk down the aisle. I'm Baptist, so they give a off toward the uh, prayer. And I walked down and they asked me, you believe Jesus is the Son of God, that he died and rose again, crucified on the cross? And I said, I do. And I want to be a Christian. I want to be a follower. And I got saved. And that's never left me. Now I've left it. And I think, Tim, haven't we all have moments in our life, in your situation. Certainly it's easy to sit back and say, why me? No, why me? And my situation is nothing like your situation. But I've also said, why me? Why do I have to go through this dumb image? Why do I have to have these kind of situations? Why do I have to get divorced and so on and so forth? And you put it in the scriptural terms and you go, well, why not me? Who am I? You know? And I welcome my faith now. Things don't scare me like they used to. Because we pray. My wife's got gorgeous prayers. She prays for me every Sunday and puts it in my phone, and I read it when I get to work at Fox, and it's just beautiful. But I love. Look, I want God to make an example out of me. I want to be challenged. I'm not afraid and not ashamed to say that I love Jesus. Not at all. I remember our president the other day was saying he didn't think he was going to heaven. And I said, well, if you invited Christ into your life, you're going to go to heaven. Now we want to be better. We want, once we become a Christian, we want to be better fit. Look at what you're doing. Look at, I had to say it sitting in the back of a limo. I just got through talking to a bunch of people, and I sat down and I was sweating and I was wiping the sweat off. And I leaned back and I said, a person's lot in life is not to waste his life a lot. And I thought, that's a TBism. And I thought, no, that's good. I like that. I'm not going to waste my life. And I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I'm an entertainer. I like to laugh. I like to cut up. But at the same time, not everything is good for me. Far from it. But I don't waller in it anymore. I just thank the Lord for, hey, this is okay. Maybe I need this. Maybe this is good. It's got to be good. If my wife says it all the time. God talked to me this morning, and here's what He told me. So what did He tell you? And I said, and I always say, you got to be still. You got to listen. The Spirit's always speaking. God's always talking. Just be still. Put the phone down. Put the computer down. You know, pay attention. Care about people. Love people, and the lives that I can have an impact on are far greater than I ever imagined. The life, Tim Green, the life that you have and the impact that you're having, I hope you realize is it's immeasurable. I mean, your spirit, writing books, uh, I mean, doing a podcast, reaching out, man. You could say to yourself, yeah, I really am blessed. Look at you got some ugly kids. That's okay. Gotta forgive you for that. You got ugly kids. So who doesn't have my girls are ugly. So but we're blessed and I'm blessed and I'm not ashamed to tell you that I love me some Jesus. And He's been so good to me. And I accept all the good and I accept all the I want everything to be good. But I realize at 77, Tim, I'm here for than more than just a football player or just a broadcaster. I'm more than that because I take my experience in life and I apply it to my kids who are going through things I've been through many times years past. So yeah, I I like telling you that I love me some Jesus. That feels good.
You said that, now you're like your faith now, you're not as scared as you once were. Did something
Right.
happen where your faith kinda went to the next level?
Well, you know what happened, Troy? Nothing good was happening. Nothing. I got drafted by Pittsburgh by a coach that didn't want me. I know that for a fact. He did not want to draft me, and the Rooney's made him draft me. So I went to an organization, a great organization, but a coach that wanted Johnny Unitas. He wanted a guy that poured himself into the film room. He wanted a guy that was a vocal leader, and I was none of that. I'm a player. I played by the seat of my pants. I was a field quarterback. I got a feel for the game and the momentum and that's how I played. Okay, and he didn't want that, and I was in the lineup, out of the lineup, embarrassed. Um, One day, nobody knows this. The only person is Joe Green and Mel Blount. But one day he made me stand up in a chair and he just tore into me. Because I had missed a film session because of a snowstorm and I couldn't get to Pittsburgh. I called him and I said, hey, here's the situation. The next day, boy, um, it was so humiliating. And I actually ended up hating him. I can say that. I hated him. Um, wasn't nice to me. Always condescending. I never could figure out why he even drafted me. I knew, well, I found out later why he drafted me, but I mean, my career was going nowhere, in and out of the lineup. All done. Um, stuff that's still to this day scarred me. And I'm not going to lie to you, bitter about it, very bitter. I don't like being called dumb, and I don't like having to defend my career. I don't like having to say, well, I won 4 Super Bowls, but then the people say, well, they won because, in spite of you, because they had all these great players. Well, you don't win Super Bowls without great players. I'm sorry, but you better have a quarterback. But I can't say that. Somebody else has got to say it. So it was. I just thought it was going. I just thought I was, really going to be a failure. Seriously, I was a failure. I'm 5 years in the league, and I remember sitting in my apartment and I was crying. I couldn't understand why I was crying. Um, I'm a teddy bear anyway. I'm a real emotional guy, and I just was praying, God, what is, help me handle this. I can't handle this. Help me handle this situation. It's devastating to me because I'd always been good, and now I wasn't. And I got through praying that night. I went to bed and I got up, and the next morning when I went to practice, I was a different person. Nothing bothered me. I was totally at peace when I got to play. I played well and never lost a job again. And we won Super Bowls, and people say this or say that, criticize. Even to this day, that's the greatest moment in my life. And I'll tell you why. Because a while ago, my wife walked in. She said, "We had a guy the other day that said something about uh, the this cookbook we have out, and he was ripping our cookbook, our family cookbook." And she was all upset about it. And I said, hey, don't worry about that. That's one person, one person, think about the hundreds that do like it. And I think that's the approach I took from day forward. Him, I got like you. I became a defensive person. I became mentally strong. I had an edge about me. Defensive players have an edge about him. They have a roughness about him that offensive players we don't have. But I became more of a defensive stronghold in my brain. I put up a wall and nothing could bother me. Insult me, whatever you want to do. Throw interception, come off, guys. Coaches screaming at you. Well, I remember opening up a playoff game against Houston, pick six. Joe Perry went. I didn't even try to make a tackle. It was cold. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to make a tackle. He just ran right by me. I went, dang. Pick six in a playoff game? You got to be AFC championship game. Ah, came back through 3 touchdown passes. Didn't even phase me. Kind of the way my career ended up, and God put a wall up for me. And I don't. It wasn't me. Couldn't have been me because me was something else. I had to be someone intervening, and I never questioned it. And that prayer in that living room with the tears coming down my cheek in Pittsburgh was the turning point of not only my life but my career, because I take that same approach today. People do not bother me. People are cruel. People are cruel. I mean, I could write 3 books on cruelty from people. Tim, maybe we'll do that. We'll write a book together. Cruelty. Tim Green and Terry Bradshaw talk about Terry's cruelty. Most people say, now how can that boy have any cruelty? Look where he is right now. That'd be fun. That'd be a blessing, me and you. But yeah, faith applies not only there. I've been in games where I said, Lord, what in the heck am I doing out here? Now, I know better than that. I mean, so God became kind of my partner. I tell you, I heard him holler duck against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I ducked. Where'd they come from? I ducked. And boom, they hit one another. And one of them got knocked out. Now, where'd that come from? And I turned around. Remember Tommy Bell or Bobby? Remember Tommy Bell Green? Tim, remember that ref? Great guy. And he came over later and he said, perfect, Terry. And I said, did you tell me to duck? Did you tell me to duck? Someone told me to duck, and I ducked. I had no reason to duck. So there you go. I can go on and on and on and on.
It's
It's
funny
fun
too,
stuff,
like,
man. It's really fun stuff. I've had
yeah.
kind of a goofy, crazy, wonderful, successful, not successful career. And there's always See stuff that happens. That's really a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun.
It's one of the things that I find so funny about sports is it's like no matter what, it's never enough. And I
Yes.
it's funny because we had Troy Aikman on the podcast and
Yeah.
not with the faith and spiritual side, but he was talking about his career and it's eerily similar to how you're describing yours, where he won the Super Bowls, but never felt like he got the credit, but didn't care because it bothered him, but it didn't bother him because he was winning and he knew he was doing things the right way. And I said to him kind of the same thing I'll say to you. It's funny with like I heard my dad growing up be like, the Giants and the Cowboys are the two teams that's supposed to draft me, and the Falcons ended up out of nowhere taking me ahead of them. And those two teams won Super Bowls, and I would have loved to have won a Super Bowl. And I'm sitting here, like I played Division I football. I never had a sniff in the NFL. I'm like, man, what I would give to been a first round drafting. And my dad's sitting there saying, man, what I'd give to have Terry's 4 Super Bowls. And you're sitting there
Hey,
like
what
it's
I
never
get that.
enough.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. We're never satisfied.
Yeah.
We're never satisfied. And we always say we're never appreciated. And I know what Troy's saying because Troy and I are two quarterbacks, then the top 50 quarterbacks that they say shouldn't be in the top 50. And I always say, well, who cares? I mean, I don't care. I have never had hey, Tim, I've never had anyone walk up to me and go, hey, Terry, how many yards you throw for? How many touchdown passes you got? Not one. Not one. But boy, I've had a million of them go, hey man, where's your rings? Where's those Super Bowl rings? Super Bowl. So that kind of tells me that that's really where the focus should be. And then when I'm working with Howie and Jimmy Johnson on Fox and Michael Strahan, and they start busting my chops, then I defend myself. All right, get the Super Bowl rings out. Let's roll them. I said, mine are still making noise, boy. Oh, shoot. You know what? Do your job and then move on. Do your job and move on. Let people say, well, is it really that important? I always say, well, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback to ever play. Okay, is he really? Otto Graham may be the greatest quarterback to ever play. How many titles did Otto win? 10? 10? Look it up. And then Tom lost 3. I was 4-0. Montana was 4-0. Tom was 7-3. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4. That's kind of the way I look at it. Oh boy, people are something else. We always want to know who's the best, don't we? We
Yeah.
always want to evaluate. We always say Tim Green was the best linebacker to come out of Syracuse. Only person I know come out of Syracuse is that running back Jim Brown. Then the other one that went to Denver Broncos,
Yeah.
44. Right? Is that how you
Yeah.
do that? 44.
Floyd Little, right?
Floyd Little. Tim Green, that's about it for me. I don't know anybody else out of Syracuse that ever did anything, but I'm sure they're there. But, I don't know who they are.
I think that the fun perspective for specifically about quarterbacks with like you and Troy and people like that is you did it at the highest level. You've seen like you've been on top of the mountain and it's like I always make fun of my brothers because they'll tell me all about quarterback play. I'll be like, guys, neither of you can throw a spiral. I don't want to hear about quarterback play. Like that's the bar. If you can't throw a spiral, I don't care if you work for ESPN. I don't care if you're just a
Exactly.
reporter. If you can't throw a spiral, don't tell me about quarterback play.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some that could throw a spiral. Joe Cap couldn't throw a spiral. Billy Kilmer couldn't throw a spiral, but they could lead. Their lead, and they
Yeah.
could. They were good leaders. But it's we live in a nation where everybody wants to know who's the best, and you know, it's I remember Howie telling me one day, he said, I just saw the top 25 quarterbacks by this guy. You weren't even mentioned. Well, number one, I didn't need to know that. Don't you hate it? Did you hear what they said about you the other day, Terry? Man, I burnt my butt. You know what? I didn't hear it. I wish you hadn't have told me about it. Like, hey, you're not even in the top 25. Well, Howie, I just really am not going to lose any sleep over that. But and then when I do finally get pinned, hey Tim, when you put me in a corner and you make me get selfish and defensive, I'll tell you, did Tom Brady call his own plays? No. Did Manning call Peyton call it? No. You know, and I said, well, I called all my plays, boys. Super Bowls, those are my plays. They weren't sent in. I didn't flip a card up and go, number five, number five. But I did have to come up with the let's go on one. Yeah, one, that's good. God. Cracks me up, man. I get the biggest kick out of it. But I do love the way they play today, Tim. I love the way these quarterbacks play. I love the way they throw it. And I would have loved to have been a part of this new age football that we see, but I wasn't, you know. It's okay. I'd like to have made $50 million. Can you imagine making 50? Hey, Tim, maybe you make 50 million on your books. I'm watching this game last night. I turned to my wife and I said, the guy's making $50 million. Can you imagine making $50 million? What would that do to your life? Well, I wouldn't be at Fox. So I'd be over here in Hawaii, man, playing golf.
I'm
Hey,
I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna do the annoying question, Terry, just because I gotta ask you. You
let
can't
me have it.
if you couldn't include yourself. So you can't include yourself. Assume you're on the list. Who are your
Got it.
top? I know there's no such thing as best. It's very subjective, but who are your top
Sure.
five quarterbacks in your eyes?
Currently, or
Either one. Either one.
well, listen, I love Dan Fouts, Kenny
Yeah.
Stabler. I don't know, Tim. You play against Kenny Stabler? I think he probably did.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I'm
did.
pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Fouts, Stabler, um, Troy Aikman. I love Troy Aikman. Love Troy Aikman. Um, Brett Favre. Here's one for you. Roman Gabriel. Have you ever heard of Roman Gabriel?
I haven't.
Have you? No. No, no, Troy, you don't know. Tim doesn't even know. Tim, he was the quarterback for the Rams back when they had blue and white uniforms. Remember him now? Tall guy out of North Carolina. Loved him. Uh, my hero was Joe Namath. That's who I want. I wish I had what's the word, Tim? Tim, you're the writer. I wish I had the courage to be like Joe. You know, long hair and not braggadocious. I wouldn't, but a cool guy, dressing neat. Said cool things. Just for the ladies. Just for the ladies. I wish I had that aura about me that I didn't have. I'll tell you a funny story. I love Joe Namath and Bart Starr. I give you about seven there. I'm sorry, I could go on. There's so
That's
many.
great.
I don't even want to. I don't want to hurt any of them. See, some of them have passed away. But I was down in Tampa playing um, the Miami Dolphins before Tampa became Tampa, and preseason game. And I always wanted to wear some white football shoes. Nobody had white football shoes. Namath is the only guy who had white football shoes. And I thought, white football shoes, man, that's the coolest. So I'm walking downtown Tampa. I walk by what was then just a sporting goods store. You don't have those anymore. I walk by to look in the window. There, my friend, God just led me to white football shoes. And glow came off of those shoes, and firecrackers were exploding, saying, "Come on in, TB. Come on in. Buy me." Oh, man. I walked in that door. The salesman recognized me. I said, "Hey, man, I need some white football shoes. You got any?" He says, "What size you wear?" I said, 11 and a half or 12. I like them tight. Gosh, he said, "Let me go check." Comes out, says, "No, no 11s. No, all I got's a pair of 10s. Size 10. They're in the window." That's the, I bought size 10. All right. My toes were like this. I carried them in my backpack and my pack. I got to the stadium. I sat out in the locker. I pull them out. Nobody knows I got white football shoes. I couldn't get my feet in. And so finally, I cut the front of it and I put my toes down in those white shoes and I pulled those strings up and I walked out go warm up and my toes are killing me and I'm throwing and everybody's going, man, where'd you get the white shoes? Man, you looking, they're all going, man, where'd you get those shoes? And I'm going, I got them at the store. Man, I am hurting so bad. It's like having 20 ingrown toenails that are coming through the bottoms. Oh my God, my feet are killing me. And I do that. I come back in. I said, if I take these off, I won't get them back on. So I didn't take them off. I tried to act like they weren't hurt. So I played the first quarter wearing shoes that I had no business playing in, but I took them off when I got through. I gave them to one of the players. I forgot who it was, but I couldn't wear. My feet were my toes. I, I've just butchered my toes. It took me almost 2 weeks to get over wearing those shoes. But here's the good part about it. In the film session the next day, in there in the film room, I saw those white shoes on me playing in that game, and I'm like, wow, man, you are looking good. Oh my God. I love that story. Well, maybe I'm the only one that loves it, but I love it.
I have to look online and see if we can find a photo of the white cleats. Terry, why did you choose Louisiana Tech? What drove you there? And what did that chapter of your life teach you?
I went to Louisiana Tech. Number one, only had like 6 scholarship offers. They were all to small schools until we play. I played. I set a record for touchdown passes for the state of Louisiana, and but I wasn't really that good. I wasn't very coordinated um, as a quarterback. As a javelin thrower, yeah, I got 200 something javelin scholarship offers. But football, I signed with LSU. Um, and when I was going to LSU, I couldn't pass the ACT test, Tim. Um, and it, it was the best news I ever heard because I didn't want to go to LSU. I felt pressured to go there. Um, and so I flunked the test and had to come back and take it again. I didn't want to take it again, so LSU wanted to send me to a junior college, and I didn't want to go to a junior. I didn't want to go to LSU, and so Louisiana Tech had a coach named Joe IA who ran the original West Coast offense. And Tom Landry and the offensive staff for the Cowboys used to come over to Tech's spring practices and learn from Coach IA. And so I signed with Louisiana Tech. Now, when I went to Louisiana Tech, a Division II school, 1AA, was the backup quarterback to Phil Robertson. Phil Robertson was the patriarch of Duck Dynasty, and that with that long beard. And that's the guy I played by. I was his understudy. I was his backup for 2 years, and then he had one more year of eligibility, but he didn't want to play. He wanted to, you know, do whatever he did, and he didn't show up. He quit, and that was it for me. From that point on, you know, I shot. You know, my body grew up, my speed. I was fast. I was big, powerful arm, and my college career at Tech for 2 years was fabulous. You know, and that's how I got drafted. So
I've heard that story about him. It's like, no, it's like a trivia question. No one could ever figure out who,
yeah,
you know,
true.
was he a big personality? Was he a good player?
He was a good player. He was. It was the West Coast offense. You don't need a big arm. Tim knows that. And it's a real fast offense. You know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And he was really good at in the system. He had been in it before I got there, so I had to learn it. It was a complicated system. He nicknamed me Blonde Bomber because I had this long white hair. So he nicknamed me the Blonde Bomber. And God rest him. He just recently passed away. But he, all he wanted to do is shoot stuff, shoot ducks, shoot deer, catch fish. And he took me fishing one time because he knew I loved to fish. And he made me lay in the bottom of the boat to put a sack over my head, made me lay in a toad sack. You know what a toad sack is, Tim? It's a cloth sack that you carry, whole potatoes or sweet potatoes or peanuts. It's a cloth sack, and he made me over my head and lay in the bottom of the boat because he knew if we caught fish, I'd be back out there the very next day fishing in the same spot. But he was a great guy. I mean, he was. I really enjoyed him. I beat him. I beat him out, but I couldn't. I beat him out. I want to say my freshman year. I played better than him, but I couldn't get through I couldn't get past the coaches. Then we lost our coaching staff. Coach IA got fired because we only won one game. The game we won was the last game of the season when they let me start, and I played the whole game, and I played great. So I thought I'd be the starter my sophomore year, and then I show up to practice, and I having a great training camp. Phil didn't even show up, and then the week before we go to play our first game, Phil comes back, and they come to me and say, we're not going to let you start. And that's when I transferred to Florida State. Actually transferred to Florida State. I got to Florida State, and our athletic director called down to Florida State and told him, "You sign him, we're going to file tampering charges on you." Da 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 da. And they said, "You got to go back." So I had to go back to Louisiana Tech and face all those players that I just said, you know. So that's how I actually, people don't know that story, but I actually tried to transfer to Florida. Bill Peterson was the head coach at Florida State, and he threw the football. As a matter of fact, when I went to the old North South game, Bill Peterson or Peterson uh, was our head coach at the North South game. But it's sophomore year was in and out. Then he didn't play. He quit, or I can't really remember why. He just didn't show up. So rest is history, as they say. He went on to make hundreds of millions of dollars making duck collars, and I went on to play and win Super Bowl. So it worked out for both of us.
Yeah.
Both sides won on that. Hey, when did you realize the NFL wasn't just a dream, that this was going to be your job and your life?
Well, I actually thought, hey, Tim, back in '69, you didn't have social media and you didn't have a draft that was on television, and it was in a room, and they were making it by, making their calls by telephone, their drafts by telephone. So I knew I was going to be drafted. Um, and I thought probably, you know, I think they had 16 rounds back then, Tim. And I thought that I would go in the third, maybe fourth round. Um, and then I was the first player picked. I was as shocked as anybody. Pittsburgh, are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm probably like a lot of guys. I probably thought, well, the Saints spent all their time up at Tech. So I figured Saints, you thought Dallas. You were like, oh, I'm going to Dallas or wherever, or New York, you thought, but it doesn't work out like that. But I had no idea I'd be the first pick. Seriously. Seriously, no idea. There's no way I should have been the first pick in the draft. I was nowhere emotionally ready for the NFL, intellectually ready for the NFL. I had way too much to learn, way too much growing up to do. But they didn't do all those. If I can't, let me give you an example, Tim. If Terry Bradshaw that you know today went into the NFL, or if you take me from the '70s and take that Terry Bradshaw and put him in the NFL today, I would not have made it because I'd have been cut. I'd have been out of the league by my third year. That's how bad I was playing. That's how up and down my career went. And as quickly as these coaches have to win today, they just fired a guy the other day in Tennessee. Just fired the coach first year. That would have been me because they would have called me a bust and everything. Because I've said this so many times. If you're the first player going in the draft, you're going to the worst team. There's no talent. Dan Marino, with all that talent, was lucky. He went all the way to the end of the draft. So he went to a great team. Um, and he was a great quarterback, but that's how different things were back then. But my maturity level back then, oh, please, no, no way was I ready for the NFL. Absolutely not.
Wasn't there something, Terry, too, with the Bears tried to trade for you?
That's true. Yes. What happened was, I'm getting all this later, but the Bears and the Steelers had a coin flip for the first pick in the draft, and the Bears lost to Pittsburgh. And that's how I got drafted by Pittsburgh. And then my dad told me, get this, hey, Tim, you'll like this. Um, Show you how unimportant the draft was to me. The day of the draft, I went home to see my mom and dad, and I had boat and truck, and I was hooked my boat up, and I was backing out of the driveway going fishing at Toledo Bend. Then my dad came out and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going fishing. The striped bass up on this island, over that island is." And I said, "I love catching striped bass." I said, I'm going striper fishing." He said, "You can't go striper fishing. It's a draft day." I said, Dad, just tell me who drafted me if I get drafted." No idea. None. I'm going fishing, Jack. And then he said, "No, you park the boat, put the boat up, go put on a jacket, put on the tie." I said, "Are you kidding me, Dad? Are you seriously kidding me?" I mean, I was steaming, and I'm obviously going to obey my dad. But I said to God, so I went in and put on jackets. I said, "What exactly? Why am I putting this on?" I mean, I'm so mad. And he says, I got a call. All three of the networks are coming out to the house. And I said, "For what?" He said, "Because you're going to go, you're going to be the first pick in the draft." I said, "You've lost your mind." I thought it was a joke. The whole thing was a joke. Plus, I was mad because my dad wouldn't let me go fishing. Here they come, and there it was. First pick in the draft didn't mean a thing to me, you know? Yeah. Now, today, Tim, if I get to be the number one pick, I'm going to make myself $30 million, Jack. But back then, I made 25,000. Boy, terrible.
I missed a couple zeros.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great story. In the NFL, you were known for calling your own plays, going off script when you saw something others didn't. How did that start, and how did your teammates react to it?
I was used to calling my own plays because I called all my plays in college. So I was very used to it. When I got to Pittsburgh, they were going to let me call my own plays. Um, and it was like going to class. You had to learn, first of all, you have to learn the offense. You have to learn and understand formations and with what the formations dictate to a defense and how they have to adjust. So my knowledge in pro football came from formations and defense back in '70s. I knew if I did this, I could expect this, and I knew I wouldn't get that because it wouldn't be sound. It wouldn't be a sound defense. Um, and it was learning how to call plays, being rhythmic with it, setting things up, reading and adjusting, putting players in the proper position, being in a huddle. Um, Say you've called pass one, and it has all the routes built into it, and then I was able to say to the players, "Hey, look, we've tried this a couple of times. They're stopping this. What can we do?" And they would say, "Hey, listen, when I come in, I'm going back out, or when I'm this, I'm that." And so we were able to talk in a huddle, and that freedom to communicate with the players who are actually doing the work. That was the key to calling plays. Is bringing everybody together and having everybody contribute to the offense. Uh, you go, okay, we're going to run 33, dive 33, and Franco would say, "I don't think we should run that right now." Da, 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 da. I said, All right. We don't want to. He's well. Let's try this. I said, okay, let's try that. So when I say I call my own plays, I ran the huddle, and I involved everybody in the offensive line and backs. Wide. I involved everybody in it. Now, when I walked into a huddle, and I'd go immediately open right, 62 dig, slide left, boom, nothing, nobody. If I walked in, I always got on my knee, and I learned in human nature, psychology. If you're the leader and you have total confidence in yourself and you're in charge of people and leading them, but if you get down below them and honor them with respect and getting on a knee and looking instead of down on them, brought gave them a a a, a sense of worthiness. And so I called it my submissive position. So I always got on a knee and I always looked up. And to this day, that's one of the coolest things ever to me was that while I am proud that I called plays, I would me calling plays was as much as we calling plays. We is more important than I. And I love that part of sports. That's the thing, Tim, that I loved about calling plays because I had total control of the entire offense where I could run whatever I wanted to run, when I wanted to run, change it up, involve players, and never had to go to the sideline and explain myself because I didn't have a quarterback coach and I didn't have an offensive coordinator. So, and I didn't have that little bird coming down, bring that piece of paper and showing you a printout of the play that just, or a tablet or whatever. That to me is probably, without question, the greatest part of playing football was was being in that huddle and involving everyone in play calling so that we could be successful. And that I love that. I love that. I love that I was in charge, and I love that I gave them the power to and the freedom to speak up because we're all coming together uh, to win. I remember one time I got a PE degree at Tech. Um, we're playing Cincinnati. I never tell football stories. This is good, but this illustrates my point. And we're back up on the 1 foot line in Cincy. Down the field we go, like a 15 or 16 play drive. And we're all the way down, and we're like, look, Tim, 5 inches to score. Okay, first and goal. So I get in the huddle, and Mike Webster, our center, God rest his soul, says, timeout, TV. Chuck calling timeout. And I looked over, and they're jumping timeout. Are you kidding me? Timeout? We're first and goal, 5 inches, and we got a timeout? I went, timeout. I jog over, and I went, what? What? Why did you call timeout? Well, we got a play that we want to run. Oh, really? You got to play to score? I said, you got to be kidding me. I got 5 inches here, Chuck, to score. Now, when I was back here on the 1 foot line, I could have used a little help back here getting out from under that end zone because these fans are really talking nasty to me. But I don't need help from 5 inches. He had his hands on my jersey. I took his hands and I threw them off and I started jogging back out. He hollered at me in a tone of voice that said, you might want to come back over here and let me finish. So I did. I jogged back over. I said, Chuck, seriously, I can't believe we're doing this. And he says, Dick's got to go. We're going to try this and that. I said, look, I got to play this score. I'll do four sneaks. We're going to score. Don't worry about it. I promise you. He said, you better score. So I drag it back out. And I got to thinking, he's pretty upset. I might get in trouble here. What if I fumble this ball? I mean, if you saw that game last night, Washington lost the game because they fumbled the exchange and it cost them the game. Simple, basic things that you take for granted. Quarterback handing the ball off. I jogged back and I went, ooh, yeah, I better quarterback sneak this because I don't want to take any chances. Then I get back in the huddle, and they're all watching me. All the players are watching me jog back, Tim. And I thought, oh, I'll have some fun here. So I get back in the huddle. What Chuck call? What he got? TB, what's he got? And I said, I told him y'all had a play y'all wanted to run. What's the play? What? Franco, didn't you say? Hey, I ain't got nothing. You didn't know. Mike, I thought, nope, nothing here. What are you talking about? You crazy, TB? We ain't got no play. You quarterback. Nobody wanted responsibility. The funniest time, and one of the funnest times I've ever had in the huddle because, yeah, I just snuck it in. It was no problem. But I just wanted to see how they'd react. It wasn't good.
It's a great story because it worked,
I
right? If it
love
didn't work,
it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, could just go on and on about stuff like that. So much fun.
Then came the dynasty, 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. What was happening in that locker room that made you all so unstoppable? What did leadership and trust look like in that era?
It was to answer your question. Simply was it was a group of men that were alphas, very strong leadership, both sides, uh, offense, defense. Franco was our alpha on offense, not me. I very seldom ever said a word. It was Franco, um, Moon Mullins occasionally. Um, that would have been about it on offense. Defense, Joe Green, Jack Lambert. There was a ton of alphas on defense. And the thing that was the secret, Tim, is number one, talent. We had talent. We had talent. How many Hall of Famers on the 22? The 11 now? Half of the team is in the Hall of Fame. Um, so it was talent, and then it was a burning desire to win and to be successful. And then once we won, we wanted more. We wanted more of it. They didn't get. You saw the '85 Bears, Tim. They should have won what? At least I thought at least one more Super Bowl for sure, and maybe be in another one. And they won one. Then they started doing books and restaurants. Lost their focus. Got doing too many things, and we didn't. The minute one Super Bowl was over for me, the minute I got home back to my ranch, all I was thinking about was this next year, next year, next year. And we win another Super Bowl. I get home next year, next year. Never could take my mind off of playing. I never could check out. All right. And I think that's the way most of the players were. Mel Blount used to come to my ranch and we'd work out. We'd run up and down the highway. Um, it was it was a unique uh, example of what greatness is. Was the Steeler team. Um, just amazing, amazing people. Hated to lose. And we had a coach that was brilliant, demanding, hard on us, really hard on us. And only one time in my 14 years playing for Chuck Noll did I ever hear him saying in a in the team um, meeting where he says we're going to go to the Raiders, we're going out there, and we're going to kick their ass, 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 and then we're going to the Super Bowl, man. All right, and I'm like, he never talks like that. He told us we're going to go out there and kick their ass in Oakland, and there's the bad Oakland Raiders. And I went, and we all just went, he knows something we don't know. This was great. And I remember going out to the Raiders, our first Super Bowl, going, and we all were talking about, he never talks like that, not one time. And it was like, took all the heat off. And we beat the Raiders and go on Super Bowl 9, beat the Minnesota Vikings. It's the only time he ever said anything like that. Only time ever, as I heard him. Maybe he did it later. Only time. Only one time for me. Pretty special. But it was just a unique bunch of players with great talent and a great desire to be successful, a great desire to be special, who hated losing. and we had great leadership, great leadership. Um, and we loved and cared for one another. Mel Blount, our All Pro and Hall of Fame right corner, dear friend of mine to this day. Joe Green, Mean Joe Green. I'm the only person that can still call him Mean Joe Green. He hates it. He hates it to be called Mean Joe Green. And so when I go, I say, "Hey, Mean Joe Green, how you doing?" You know, uh, to this day, Mike Wagner, to this day, dear friends. Jack Ham, Franco before he passed away, Rocky, I see a couple of times a year when we all get together. Such a love, such a bond. And you know that from being on successful teams. That's what you have to have. And we had it. We bottled it up.
How did you, Terry, if you were the GM for the Steelers, how would you try to bring that back? Because obviously, the Steelers are always a good team, but
Yeah.
have never been able to recreate that.
It's hard to do today, Troy. Um, Agents, money, the money's crazy. Um, a lot of the players think that money buys them a voice. Uh, it gives them a certain amount of power and control, which is wrong. Um, it would be hard to bring back today, primarily because once you built, we were built through the draft. Okay. Tim was in Atlanta, built through the draft. There was no freedom or movement of players when I played, maybe a little bit, Tim, when you played, for players to move. Now, they're signing for millions of dollars, and then they need a linebacker. Chiefs need a linebacker, or they make a trade for millions, and they get a linebacker, or they cut and move, and players don't go back, and players, I'm not showing up. I want to be traded, so they have all this power. It's very difficult, hard to build a team through the draft today. And
Mhm.
then once you get that team, let's say you do build it through a draft, then you get a Michael Parsons deal where with the Cowboys that linebacker, and they just don't. I don't blame it. It's just the money's crazy. They don't have enough money. If they do that, it mess up their football team. They got to let them go. A lot of times you draft them, you train them, they become stars, and you can't keep them. So it's hard to
Yeah.
keep. You could not keep. Did you know that the same team that won Super Bowl 9, Tim, won Super Bowl 14, 6 years together, same team? That would never happen today, because everybody would want to take credit for it. Well, maybe Swan would say, "Well, I'm the reason we won Super Bowl 10. I made that great catch, and I want my money." Or Franco would say after Super Bowl 9, "Hey, I broke a Super Bowl record for rushing. I deserve more money." Joe Green says, "I made 6 sacks in this one game, and I'm the reason we're winning. And I want more money." Everybody all of a sudden feels like it's because of them, and so therefore you can't keep the family together because we split and come apart. Very hard to do that today. Very hard. Almost impossible.
The money in today's game would make that really tough now. Terry, when you played against the Raiders, Hollywood Henderson once said you couldn't spell cat if he spotted you the C and the T. That stung at the time, didn't it? And yet you turned it into motivation. How did you carry that kind of insult?
Well, remember I told you about that prayer I had in my living room and how I had my protection. I knew where to go. That was one of those moments. He was playing for Dallas, not the Raiders, but I get you saying the Raiders. Um, when he said I couldn't spell cat, he spotted me the C and the T, and you kind of that was kind of his MO. He was a loudmouth. He was one of those guys that just, wanted to bring attention to himself. And he was a special player now. He was a special player. But when he attacked me like that, all I did was just go deeper, and, you know, I knew where to go here to block out there. It didn't even phase me. Oh, did I think about it? Absolutely. Did I talk about it with the players? Absolutely. It was all in the papers. It was headlines. Couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the T. Well, I think he's making fun of my brains, you know? And so I just focused in, and I went out in the game and turned the ball over for a touchdown right off the bat. They stripped me, went in for a touchdown, came right back and threw 3 touchdown passes in the first half. In the fourth quarter, another touchdown pass. So, and was MVP in the game. And after the game, I told the reporters to go ask him, "How's my spelling?" Now, I, that once again is out of character for me because I don't have to say anything. We won. Yeah, we
Yeah,
won the game. But it was, I think it's just your human nature. You want to go, you know, yeah, I shut you up. Yeah, how's my spelling from here? You know,
that's that's such a
actually,
funny.
hey, Tim, I actually ran into Hollywood Henderson at the Dallas airport 10, 12 years ago, 20 years, 25 years after that game. And he apologized to me. And I said, "Hey, man, you have to apologize. Everybody, everybody's doing what they had to do." I said, "I don't blame you one bit. I mean, you know, just just football's it's the way it was, you know."
That's that also too. Not. I wish it wasn't about you, but that is such a funny dig at somebody.
Yeah, man. When you attack the intelligence of a human being, now look, I'm not going to build an atom bomb, and I'm not going to write a novel. But I do know how to breed a horse artificially, and I do know how to fix a prolapse uterus on a cow. These are things that you and Tim have no clue how to do, but
No
I can
clue.
do all of that. I can give shots in the vein, juggler. I mean, there's just a lot of things that I can do that serve me well today that you can't. But I'm not going to write a novel, and I'm not going to, make A in a finance class, and I'm not going to pass accounting, nor do I care.
Yeah.
It's of no interest to me.
The Bradshaw Bunch TV series showed fans another side of you, the husband, dad, and grandpa. What surprised you about letting America into your home, and what did that experience teach you about love, laughter, and family?
I did a show with a family, Tim, that you're alluding to called the Bradshaw Bunch, which we had cameras with us, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. When I was approached with doing the Bradshaw family, the Bradshaw Bunch, I thought it would be a good chance for my girls to see what it was like to be in front of a camera and to be on television and to be able to participate in the world that I've been in for 40 something years. And I thought this would be a really cool experience for them. That's the reason we did it. Um, and what I learned, first of all, I got a great wife. I've been divorced a couple of times, and I never thought I would really find true love. I felt I didn't understand why I got married the first time and why it didn't work, and second time and why it didn't work, third time why it didn't work. And it was embarrassing. I was ashamed of myself. It was tough on me. So I went to counseling for gosh, 3 years. And and I went to 3 different steps um with the counseling and found out that we all have this personality flaw or DNA, what do you want to call it? And if it's not serving us as well, if it's hurting people, and we're always doing this, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. And sometimes you have to say it's really me. No, it's not their fault. It's my fault. I'm one and they're three. And I had to break the chain. I had to break the chain that was an attractive that I was attracted to, but wasn't good for me. And through counseling, I was able to do that. And then I met Tammy, and it wasn't love at first sight. It was lust at first sight. Because I'm telling you, man, she is powerful. She is good looking sucker. And I went, wow, what a beautiful woman. And it took her a long time before she'd go out with me. because she didn't want to be a part of my world. She didn't want to be a part of the celebrity world. Okay. She didn't think she could handle that. And probably like a lot of women, she was divorced too, but a lot of women dated a celebrity and they can be misled and phony belief that this is really the way it's going to be when in fact it isn't. Um, so she was scared. She didn't want to be a part of that. And I just kept pursuing her. And finally, her daughter said, Mom, go out with him, um, and you'll find out. And so we went out, and that was it. And my charm, my sweet personality, my gorgeous little face, powerful body that I have, that, that swung her over in 22 years now. But uh, yeah, the thing is that I got I got counseling to help me understand my problems and how to solve it, change it. And and then the end result is very simply that my wife's my best friend. She is simply, seriously, no BS, my best friend. I don't do anything without her. I don't go anywhere without her. I never thought there would be a day in my life where I would play golf with a woman, and she's my golfing partner. Um, we boat together. We show horses together. We raise horses together. She runs our company. She's smart. Where I'm strong, maybe she's not as strong. Where I'm weak, she's as strong. So it's a perfect balance of two people who can say something, and the other one was, I was about to say that, and I know you have the same thing. When you are that tight when you're locked in with the woman you're supposed to be with, you think alike, you act alike. It's scary, man, how that can happen, but it does. And we had so much fun, so much fun. I don't travel without her. I'm never without her. And in this day and time, that's a good thing because you never know when some woman's going to say, well, Terry Bradshaw assaulted me in a hotel room. Oh, I don't think so. I've been with my wife the whole time. That ain't going to work with me. Um, but she's my best friend. And I can truly say to anybody listening, you and your wife better have more checks on things that we are alike on than checks we aren't. It's okay. I'm, she's more liberal. I'm more Republican. I'm more conservative, but we blend the two together. Whereas I'm not as conservative and she's not as liberal. We don't argue over policy. We do agree on certain things, both politically, and then we disagree politically. Our faith is the same. Um, and best friend, that's the best way I can put it. Seriously, I know it's not cliche. Clicheous? Is that a word, Tim? Clicheous? Cliche, is
You
clicheous a
got it.
word? Huh?
You got cliche. You got
Clicheous.
it.
It's clicheous. But she's the love of my life, and I'm so blessed. Before I die, to finally know what real love is. It's just the greatest feeling in the world, not have to worry about her leaving me for another man, because you know that can always happen. But not with me, right, babe? Hear that? No.
Before we wrap up, would you please brag about your family for a minute? Tammy, your daughters, the grandkids. What do you hope they remember about their dad and grandpa long after the lights go down?
Well, my kids know how much I love them, and they have had problems, and I've been in the middle of it. But they know how much they're loved. They know I'm there for them. I'm not a I'm not a pokey dad. I'm not. I don't. I'm not a dad that has to see them every week or every 2 weeks or a month. I want my children to live their life, and I'm here for them. If they need some guidance in a certain direction, I'm here for them. But I don't push myself on them. I want them to live their life and experience their life. Um, but I love it when I'm with them. Um, I love it. Uh, all three of them. Two are mine. One is Lacey is stepdaughter, but she's really my daughter. She calls me dad, which I love. Um, they all seek advice. I love giving them advice. You know, um, they've all come to me with love advice. And Tim, uh, you got three ugly boys. There's a daughter in your crowd. I can't recall.
Yeah,
You
there's
have a
5 of
daughter?
us.
Three,
Yeah,
three
3
boys,
3
two
boys
girls.
and 2 girls, yeah.
Oh, well, those girls, man, come to you and they go, Dad, what do you think about Tommy Joe? Um, I really like him and da da da. He's with this and this and that. What do you think about Tommy Joe? Well, Dad, here's Dad's answer. I got no comment, sweetie. You you love Tommy Joe. I love Tommy Joe. You this, yeah, I'm with you. But you'll get no advice from me on matters of love. That's up to you. Now, when it's over, if it doesn't work, and you come, then you ask me, well, I broke up with Tommy Joe, Dad. He was this, he was that, this, and I said, yeah. I said, okay, that's good. That's good. You happy? You feel good about it? Yeah, I do. So what'd you think, Dad? I said, oh, I didn't like him at all. I thought he was an asshole. Well, why didn't you tell me? When it comes to matters of the heart, I know I'm not part of that. You go do that on your own. But yeah, I tell them when it's all said and done, you know. I was on national TV doing a game show, and one of the guys was there, and I told him he doesn't have his foot in the circle. He's not in the circle yet. 2 weeks later, he's gone out of here. But a good relationship, tons of love, encourage him to go to church, encourage him to love, encourage him to do a lot of things together. Uh, I just love watching them grow up. You know, they're going through business. You know, they got businesses, and I love they struggle. They want advice, and Tammy and I both give it. Tammy's very smart, so we both give them. We think sound financial advice. We give them sound spiritual advice. We just give them sound worldly advice. Just sound stuff we've already been through. Um, some have had problems when my kids were young. They drank, they did drugs, they did it all. I'm just like, oh, where'd this come from? And then they just, you know, they knew better and they went on about and grew up and got out of it. So wonderful girls. And I love being a girl dad. Hey, Tim, man, those girls. They eat us up, Jack. Yeah. Oh, baby, daddy's shoulder's hurting. Right. Oh, it's right there, sweetie. And you get that 10-minute rub. Oh, yeah. It don't get any better than that. And no boys for me, just girls. Now, the grandkids are the same way. Zuri, our oldest granddaughter, shows horses with us. She's an awesome horseman. Awesome. She's got how many world titles? Five? Like five world titles. I mean, she's amazing. Jebediah is 8, and he's a typical boy. He got the games or whatever you call that stuff. I don't know. He does that, and he's into baseball. He's into basketball. But primarily, he's not really a sports guy, but he's only 8, slowly going that way. Um, And then the others, Kason is only 15 months old. Rachel's son, he's just a baby. And Jessie, Aaron's little baby girl, she's only 3, but she loves to watch me on television. And when she sees me on television, she just stops everything she's doing and points, Pappy, Pappy. And then she watches me. And then when we go to a commercial break, she starts crying because where's Pappy? And one time she even went and was looking behind the television. Cute, cute, cute. Look, where's Pappy? Oh, Pappy. So 2 girls, 2 boys, loving them to death. It's a good family, fun. All my son-in-laws are awesome. One's in the oil and gas business. One's a horse trainer, and he trades on trailers. And he and I are in the Angus cattle business together. My other son-in-law is in on my bourbon business with an awesome salesman, and he's an award-winning chef. Voted the #1 chef in Dallas 2 years ago. He's from Hawaii. Incredible chef. Matter of fact, while we're talking today, Tim. we're in the process of doing a TV show on Fox Nation, and it's a cooking show. I think it's 4 segments they're gonna give us to see if it's any good. So all of them are great guys. I love, look, I'm lucky. 3 girls, 3 grandsons. I mean, it's grandson, 2 grandsons. I mean, 3 son-in-laws. Yeah, all good. Yeah, I like them all. Love them all.
Now, on to our final word segment, where we ask our guests a few rapid fire questions. What was the happiest moment in your life?
Super Bowl 9. Golly, that's a bad answer. Gee whiz, that's a. Can I do a two-parter here?
Yeah, do 2 part. Yeah.
Professionally, Super Bowl 9. Personally, marrying Tammy.
What is the biggest adversity you've faced?
Being benched. One B, being booed. 1C, being benched again. 1D, being booed again.
What are you most excited about?
Oh, the future. What's in store? As Doc Holliday said in Tombstone, when what's his face came out and said, "Well, Doc, I thought you was dead." He said, "I beg to differ. I'm just reaching my prime." Well, that's me. That's the way I look at life. I'm just reaching my prime. The future.
The next one. What advice would you give your younger self?
I wish I had been more mature. I wish. I found out later in life I have ADD and I'm clinically depressed. It's all that crap doesn't help doesn't help you in your life. But I wish I wish I could have taken ADD medicine when I was a little boy, so I could have focused and done well in school. That's it, and I'm fascinated with education, but that's a long answer for a short question. But I wish I'd been more focused in my academics. I wish I could have been more focused in my academics.
Do you have any book recommendations for us or for the listeners?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't read books. I read aviation books. I read cattle books. I read horse books. I read the Bible. I don't necessarily read books. I read sayings. I read marketing. I read Mark Twain. One-liners. I don't necessarily read books. I like documentaries. I watch TV for documentaries. I love documentary, but I'm not a book reader. I'm sorry, Tim. Hope he's not mad at me. I read it, and I read for education. I don't read for enjoyment. I read for education. That's
Yeah.
that's another thing I do.
The name of our podcast is Nothing Left Unsaid. Do you have anything you want to say?
I've enjoyed this so much, Tim. I want to do it again. And
Yeah, we should.
this has been a great. I didn't know what to expect from Tim. I love the fact that we met down in Miami. I bought him a Heineken Light or Heineken beer, and that is going back. That's going back. That is really, and I remember it, which is amazing. I came into this podcast not knowing what to expect. I'm leaving this podcast feeling so rejuvenated. I'm looking at my friend there. You look great, buddy. Head full of gray hair. You got a goatee. You look like you just want to reach up and slap the shit out of me right now. That's what it looks like. But I have enjoyed this. And I want to do it again. It's just been so inspiring for me to be on this podcast, knowing the struggles that your dad has been through, uh, and and knowing him and how much I cared about him when we were together at Fox. It's kind of like a reconnection for me. It's nothing. This isn't anything unsaid. This is just something that should have been said. How about that? I like
Yeah,
that
there you
better.
go.
This is
That's
something
perfect.
that should be said. I love you, buddy. And I want to do this again. We'll have some more fun. All right.
So one more question I'm going to sneak in is at the end of every podcast, and this is how we got to you. We ask our guests, we ask Kurt Menefee, and we ask everybody, who are a couple people that you know that you think we should have on the podcast to have a discussion
Oh,
with?
you should have Henry Winkler on. He would be fantastic. You should have Howie. Have you had Howie on yet?
We haven't had Howie, no.
Oh, Howie's amazing. Um, golly, Denzel Washington would be fantastic. You should get Denzel Washington. You
Awesome.
should.
Those are 3 great ones. Yeah.
Yeah, go to work on that. I can help you with that.
Yeah, those would be great. You know, it's funny. We actually met Denzel. He was at a Falcons game in the
Yeah.
owner's box with Mr. Blank, and my dad was there. And yeah, so I actually have a picture of him when I was, I don't know, 12 years old or
Oh,
something.
I was at the Palm Restaurant in Los Angeles sitting at a booth with an aisle, and I was sitting on the aisle. People could walk by. He came in and sat down in the booth across the aisle from me, sat down with he and his wife. And I looked over and I went, "It's Denzel Washington." And he looked and he went, "Who is this guy staring at me?" And I'm sorry. I said, Denzel Terry Bradshaw. And we ended up talking the whole night. I never enjoyed anything so much in my life. He's such a good man. I think he would be fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
know how he would be, and I know Henry. You would love Henry Winkler. Love him. And he would love
Yeah, those are
you.
3 great ones.
Yeah. So go after it. I didn't name a chick for you. You got some hot babe out there, Tim, you want to meet? I can get it. Jennifer Aniston. How about that big guy? Will your wife be all right with that? We get
Terry, thank you for the courage to throw deep when the easy play was a check down, for the honesty that makes Sunday feel like church and comedy at once, and for reminding us that leadership sounds like love under pressure. God bless you and your family. Please give everyone on your side my best and stay in touch.
I absolutely will, Tim. Thank you. Um, and like I said, I want to do this again. We've been out of touch. We don't need to be out of touch anymore. I am so happy to see you, so happy to hear you, so blessed to be on the show. You're an inspiration. Troy, so are you, all your family. Um, but thank you. And I'll pass all the love you're sending to my family, Tim, for sure. And God bless, man. I guess you watch
Terry.
this on TVs. I hope you do anyway.
Yeah, no, we watch every week. And Terry, before the next, we're gonna do this again, but next time you and I are getting makeup so we don't look as bad next to him. And I, you and I can't be so damn
Hey,
ugly with him on here.
hey, I'll put some stuff on my hair, and I got a bad background back here. I can do something to my lens and Photoshop myself a little bit. So, we'll fix it. That's no problem. Love you, big guy. We'll be in touch. Okay.